A charity representing gypsies and travellers has accused an MP of inciting discrimination. Bournemouth West MP Sir Conor Burns posted a video on social media about plans for a permitted traveller site on a disused car park in his constituency. What I've done here is taken two clips to give you a flavour of what he said. Have a listen.
So in January this year, BCP Council began the process of coming up with their draft local plan, and within that local plan they have allocated a site with 15 spaces for what they call the so-called settled gypsy and traveller community. So to be clear, I'm not saying that they shouldn't have a site. I'm saying, in agreement I think with many local residents, that this site here in the middle of this residential area is not the right place.
The Traveller Movement said Sir Conor Burns' comments fan the flames of racism. Chair of Trustees of the Traveller Movement, Pauline Melvin-Anderson OBE, joins me. Pauline, hearing that, do you think it does genuinely flame racism?
I think it plays to racism, and I think it plays to people's worst fears. I think, people have a fear of the unknown. I'm from the traveller community myself, and lots of people have never met a gypsy or a traveller. They don't know anything about us except maybe what they see in the media. So I think it's just really sad, and disappointing when you have a local plan and a real commendation to BCP for putting that in their plan, because there are different ways of doing this, and Con would be more than happy to talk to you about the different ways of approaching this, which are really much more positive. Imagine you're a child or a young person from a traveller family hearing this kind of news. How does it make you feel? Why are people feeling and behaving like that? So it is stereotyping of the worst kind.
Is it not part of his job to have an opinion in some way about as many things as possible? This is one of them, and he's putting his opinion out there. Would his tone have made any difference?
I think his tone would have made a huge difference, and everybody has a right to an opinion, but the MPs are play to a higher code, and that is the code for MPs, and members of Parliament have a duty to uphold the law, including the general law against discrimination. And so that's a special duty on MPs.
I don't see how he discriminates, though. I don't know how is it to say that you don't think. Yes, how does an opinion, which we're meant to have, you're meant to be able to say anything you like in a country that has free speech, but you stay within the bounds and the responsibility of that and the legal framework around it. How would he voice that opinion in a way without getting the reaction he's getting?
Well, I mean, he might say that you could raise concerns and say that actually some work needs to be done. More work needs to be done on bringing the communities together, which happens in other areas. I have family members who live on sites, have been living in residential areas in different parts of the country for over 30 years. They've got friends, they've made friends with their local community, and people understand each other. So I think, there is a general law against discrimination, and discriminating is saying that people can't live here. To imagine you're told that you can't live here or there just because of your ethnicity. And I'm afraid there is a line that needs to be drawn between freedom of speech and general discrimination. And remember that travellers are constituents and members of the community as well.
Well, wasn't he saying, no, it wasn't suitable? I think he wasn't saying...
Can I just finish? I'd like to finish. And under Code 6, the MPs have a special duty to act in the interests of their constituents, not some constituents, but all of them. And travellers are those constituents and members of the community as well.
But he was saying in his clip that it wasn't suitable. He was saying that it wasn't that there shouldn't be a site. He felt this wasn't the suitable place for it.
He said it's not suitable because it's in a residential area near other people, and the implication is that suitable sites are more in the industrial areas, the very dangerous and areas that lead to poor health outcomes. And there's been a lot of research into some of the terrible sites that have been made available. Okay. For gypsies and travellers. And Catherine Quarmby, who's a brilliant journalist, has fairly recently published a report on the terrible outcomes for people living in those kind of industrial area sites.
Pauline, thank you for your time this morning. That's Pauline Melvin-Anderson OBE, Chair of Trustees of the Traveller Movement. More about them and the work they do online. Of course, the BBC has contacted both Sir Conor and the Conservative Party Chair, Richard Holden, for a response, but neither have so far replied.